Do you really need another compressor? For your vocals, bass, drums? Is this really necessary? Well, in this case, it's a little bit more than a compressor, and I'm going to show it to you in this week's POW. Let's go. Here we are again, Radium POW, plugin of the week. I appreciate you guys sharing the show, liking, commenting, all that good stuff helps the channel out, so thank you very much. Now let's get right into the plugin. Let's not waste any time. I'm not going to read any manuals to you.
What now?
So the Omnipressor from Eventide is probably the coolest thing I've used on drums in a while. Let me show you a little snippet of where I'm using it, how I'm using it, and we'll talk about some of these functions that make it very different than just a normal compressor like an LA2A or an 1176, okay? We gotta keep making moves, 'cause what else will we do? And we little snippet of a song I'm writing for some sync licensing commercial stuff. Here are the drums. It's actually just a little loop, but I want to get into why I use the Omnipressor on these drums and really what it's doing. So check this out. I'm going to solo these drums out. It's just like a little drum loop going on. Okay, now let's bypass the Omnipressor and let's play it again. So for me, what it's doing is a lot like an MPC. 2000 XL, 4000 MPCs, that boom, boom, that stereo output always was like just awesome because it kind of clipped out the signal. So what is this doing and why am I using it on these drums? It has a function here that is actually an expander or a compressor. So if I turn it to the left, it's going to expand. If I turn it to the right, it's going to act like a compressor. And then there's some really cool stuff over here called Attenuate, Limit, and Gain Limit. So I'm going to tweak this function knob so you can hear the difference between expanding and compressing the drums. Okay, so check this out. This is really, really dope. So you can hear it's like compressing right now. And of course you can mess with the attack time so it's not attacking so fast. But because I was using it on expansion, I have the attack pretty quick and I have the release pretty quick. But this thing is so awesome because it can do some stuff that not a lot of compressor expanders can do, and it's just a couple knobs that you're turning. Now I'm gonna show you how you can kind of like take this drum loop and turn it into really short staccato pieces or really long, like make it breathe a lot more. Check this out. And I'm going to do that just by using the release time and the expansion. So what it's doing there is it's like holding on to the expansion, which means when you turn the release time up, you're saying expand longer, and it's taking the tail end of each signal. So if this was a vocal going like, hey, it would go like, hey. It would like bring that tail end up, which makes the drum sound like it's a lot longer and it's like pushing longer. Or it makes it feel really staccato. And I'm really going to go crazy with this threshold so you can really hear what it's doing when I make it really staccato. But I'll take the release time really, really fast at 1 millisecond, and I'll start turning this threshold down. Check this out. So it really makes that loop really really staccato, really short, and in bursts. And let me just bypass it in and out so you can really hear that effect. Really, really cool. You can do a lot of stuff with this plugin. Now, let's talk about this attenuate limit and attenuate gain limit. Here, I'll show you this crazy graph. And this is from Eventide. So if you want to get really nerdy on this stuff, this is what's going on, okay? So the Omnipressor capabilities, and what you're doing is a dynamic reversal. So A is when you have the input really high, the output is really high as well. But as the input goes down, the output goes down as well, right? So you can see how that works. And then you got a gate, B, and then you got expansion. So a 40 dB input range would result in a 60 dB output. So C, as you cross that threshold, right, you're going to go up. You're expanding it up. And then D, control centered. And then you got limiting, of course, with E, which is very normal limiting. And then infinite compression. Output level remains unchanged regardless of input level. So what this function is doing here, just to explain it really, really basic, because I don't want to get too scientific with this stuff. The attenuate limit, you can limit how much it attenuates, or you can limit how much it gains. So for example, like if I really expanded it up, I could also limit it down on the gain. So for example, I'm going to take this down here and we'll really limit the gain, but then we'll expand the crap out of this. So it's going to push up, and then we'll take this output and just option click it to 0. Check it out. So you can hear that it's actually limiting it to 0.9 dB, right? So no matter what this output is, I'm giving it a limit, like a brick wall. Same thing on the attenuate. I can say how much, where I want to limit the attenuation. And this is just the basic principle of this function. Now I'm going to go between the expansion and the compression, just so you can hear kind of the differences. And also I'll show you kind of like what I like this most for and why I use it. So you notice I'm compressing the crap out of it with this function knob, right? You can see that there's a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 10-to-1, and then you get into 0.5. This is like a negative compression, which this is what they're talking about when they talk about dynamic reversal, right? So check this out. Listen to the sound and listen to what it does to the drums. It like makes the tail, the end of the actual sample, it makes that come up. So it's basically like it's compressing down on the beginning and it's going sha, 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 like it's taking the tail up. And you can really hear this when you start to go into expand mode, right? So let's go into expand mode and let's hear that exact same thing. So it's pretty cool. It really changes the dynamic of the drums. And obviously you can use this on a lot of things like guitars, vocals, to make something sound like really affected and weird. This is the plugin I use to make things kind of jump out of the speakers. For these drums, I wanted them to be like really staccato, punchy, but I want them to jump out of the speakers a little bit more than what the sample was doing on its own. Here's it bypassed, and it's just kind of like a normal loop to me. All right, and then I put it in and I get this like punchy, fat, distorted, kind of saturated sound. And you can really change the dynamics of the drums or anything else. I'm just using this on drums because it's a really great source to feed the Omnipressor and really hear what the expander versus the compression is doing. But one unit can do so much, and that's why I like this plugin. It's just something that you can turn on and just tickle it, or you can really do crazy shit with it. That's it. That's the Omnipressor. I hope you guys really like it. If you do, drop a comment. Let me know if you ever use expanders, compressors, and like what your favorites are. I mean, this is awesome because it's both, right? It's a combo. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what's up. Ask me any questions you got. All right? Radium POW. I'm out of here. Peace.